Welcome back, folks. Familiar sight here. Hood's popped. So I think I'm burning some oil here. As you saw my last short, so I definitely know I'm burning some oil. I'm assuming it's the valve stem seals because it only happens when I'm like decelerating in the car. Hopefully not the turbo. Some people said it's not when I'm like doing a pull in it or anything, which is good. So, you know, I'm going to start popping the valve cover off. I'm going to get all the springs out of it. The cam's got to come out and all that. So, you know, I'll probably cut to those parts when it's ready to go. Stay tuned. Maybe about 20 minutes into it here, I got the valve cover off of it. I also took off one of the power steering lines. It's just over here because it was kind of over the top of the valve cover. It was making it harder to take off. And then here's all the hardware for it. You know, just the rubber booties to keep the oil in, and then the valve cover. Gonna work on, you know, I gotta loosen up the timing chain from the front cover here, and I'm gonna see if I can get these cams popped out. So it took a little longer than I was expecting, but I got the cover as well as the chain tensioner for the motor off. So, you know, you got the bungee cord holding the top of it so this doesn't fall down. And then underneath in here, if you can see it tucked up in there, this is where the plate comes from, this section, as well as that's where the chain tensioner pops off. And then from there, this upper chain should hopefully loosen up enough into which I could now start taking the cams out. So I'm going to start working on unscrewing those cams. Okay, folks, back here again. So I got all of the cam caps off. You know, it wasn't too bad. You just follow the disassembly sequence that you can find online. Here's all the caps laid out over here in order. You know, you got to make sure they're in the right order because they does matter, basically. And then from here, I'm going to set you guys up, and hopefully you guys can watch me struggle here, or maybe it'll be pretty easy. I'm going to pop these cams off because they should just pull out of here now. Set this up. All right, here's, what's this, the intake cam. Got the intake cam off. You can see the variable valve timing on it. I'll show you the exhaust cam when I pop it out. It's actually slightly different because it doesn't have the variable timing on it. Just gonna set that over there safely. Oh, and it was pissing oil too. Damn. All right, I'm going to wipe that up in a second. All right, let's work on this bad boy right here. The exhaust side should be the same deal. As you can see, this bungee cord, decently important. Clean this up. Oh, sorry, here's the exhaust cam. You can see there's no variable valve timing on it, so it looks, you know, the head of it here looks a little bit different. As I was saying, this is decently important. So on this motor, I do have on the crank gear the drag cartel metal piece that helps so the chain doesn't fall off of it. But just to be safe, you know, I've seen a lot of people hook these up. I just have it to the top of the hood there. So the chain doesn't slip off. And kind of skipped over it in the last bit of the video, but all of the lifters themselves need to come out as well. So I just spent a little bit of time loosening them up, as well as putting zip ties on them. I'll show you once it's out of here, but there's these little pins that go side to side in the lifters themselves that you don't really want popping out while it's in the motor, at least. So I got most of it loose, like I said, so hopefully I'll be able to pull this off here in one chunk. Bring it over the bench. You know, look at that. Beautiful. This does slide apart, so keep pressure on the sides here. You know, you don't want to pull it apart in your hands. It'll like pull apart in your hands accidentally too, and you know, you don't really want that. So for example, this whole cap, we'll see how I got the space right here in it now. This whole cap will slide off, so you don't want it doing that. And then the same thing with these guys. So I'll take off one of the zip ties. In here, in all of these, oop, there you go. See the pin that popped out? This is spring loaded, and it sticks inside the center pin there, and you know, you don't want those popping out, so you put some zip ties on them, and it should help out with that. So then, now we got this all cleaned up. Yes, I know this is a decently dirty motor. I have a 150K motor that looks better than this one. Apparently only had 50,000 miles on it, but I don't believe it, and yeah, I've changed the oil quite a few times in and out, and it's still pretty black. So the next step here is I'm going to break out that tool and start, pushing down on these valve springs, taking off the keepers, cleaning it up a little bit, and then trying to replace some of those valve stem seals. So stay tuned for that. So here's the current setup if you haven't seen something like this before. This is some tool I bought off of Amazon, actually. It's pretty cheap, funny enough. So what happens is this, you screw down and it pushes on the spring for you, and then at the tip of the valve here, I already took the keepers off, as you can see. You just get like a little pick and a magnet in there, and you can pull those off. And then once that's completed, you could undo this screw here on it, and then you could get the valve spring out, which then underneath that you could see the valve seal. Take that most of the way out, this guy comes off, then you could also just take this valve spring out now, which, valve spring, pretty typical. It's got the retainer up top, and then from there, as you could kind of see in here, this is the valve stem seal itself. So I bought another set of these on Amazon from Skunk 2 as well, and then, you just rip them off, basically. I don't have the specific tool, so I've just been using a pair of vice grips. Obviously there's a bunch to do here, so I'll record me trying to, struggling to take one of these out because it's kind of a task. And then you just hammer the other one back in and then redo the process to put it back together. So I'm going to continue going at that here, have quite a few more to do. And then that'll be about it. I'll show you the whole process of doing one start to finish, probably sped up as well. So just so you guys can see it. Okay folks, as foretold, I'm going to do a whole one here, and you can watch me struggle to take the valve stem seal off, put the new one on, and then, put the keepers back in, etc. Hopefully it goes okay. Those keepers are so tiny. I actually did end up dropping one over here. I dropped it on the ground somewhere, and I can't find it. So I'm going to have to order another set of those, just so I could put it back together on that side at least. So you get this all set up in here first, pushes on the valve, and then we'll push it down. There you go, and that popped it. So now I take a little pick here. Hopefully if I could get these, and you try to pry off the keepers themselves. Might need something to pull up on the valve as well here. It looks like it went down. Also have like a little bit of a needle nose that you can kind of grab some stuff with, hopefully. Again, this is quite the process here, so you're going to see me struggling for a little bit. There you go. Okay, and then once those are basically popped off, I take a stick magnet and bring it in close, and then kind of scoop these towards the magnet here. So it grabs them, there you go. So I got the two keepers here off of the magnet. Set that down on the bench. We come back here, and now I can take off this gizmo. Go, that comes out. And these I just do hand tight. It didn't seem to really matter that much. It kind of just holds it in place. These springs aren't really that strong feeling either, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. We can take the spring out. Drop the hammer. Alright, next comes the annoying part, where I've basically been using a small pair of vice grips here. Some people are going to make comments on this that I'm going to destroy something here, but I've gotten the other ones off without really scratching, bending, or hurting the valve that much. So I try to grab it right at the top edge, just so it doesn't, like where, I'll show you how it seals on there, just so it doesn't, makes it more difficult. And then, yeah, you start this long process of grabbing it, wiggling it back and forth. And there you go. Finally got it out. You can see it basically destroys the inside of it, and then I'll come in with a rag here and clean the rest of the rubber chunks off of it. Sweet. Okay, and then the next step here, you get one of the new valve stem keepers, and I've been putting some of this, I guess it is kind of nasty looking, but this other oil on it, dunking this into some of the oil here too to get the rubber part at least ready to go. And some people might say, you know, they're probably going to make comments about this, but hey, if you're doing it yourself, you know, you do what you got to. And I just wiggle it over the top, get it into place basically. Okay, and then I've been using a 10 mil socket to go over the tops of these here to hit on them. But what I found works a little better. Problem with the 10 mil socket, it was a little sharp on the edges, and it was it was making some marks on the stem seal itself. So I've been putting a rag around it. Grabbing the 10 mil. Just so this, you know, helps not damage it as much. Tap it in a little bit. See there? There you go. And that's just about fully installed. See the gap at the bottom of it there between, let me see if I can show you, between the bottom of the spring keeper and the top of it. That's about how they all are. You know, it's not perfect by any means or like flush, but I think they are floating a little bit up top, which is fine. Let me just give it a couple more whacks to make sure. See, and it should hold the valve. Yep, it holds the valve pretty tight now too. It doesn't just drop into the cylinder. I guess one part I missed too is that the first and fourth cylinders are at top and center, just so the valve doesn't drop all the way down. Notice that's as far as it goes because it's technically hitting the top of the piston. Probably not the best thing in the world, but you know, it's not the end of the world either. Okay, and then we're just gonna reverse the steps here. Put this guy back together. Grab the spring. Put the spring on it. Grab this, whatchamacallit, funky thing here. Oh, we're starting up the lawnmower out there. Put this thing on it. Try to get it a little bit closer before I just start cinching on it. Yeah, that should be good. Grab the Dugga, flip it over. Looks like I'm pushing the valve down in there. So the valve itself looks like it went down in the cylinder here, so let me just pull it up. There we go. Try that again here. Wrong way. Oops. There you go. When you got the valve peeking through, now I gotta go grab those keepers. Make sure not to freaking drop them. I haven't really found a good technique for this quite yet. I've just been fat fingering them as close to in place as I can. Yeah, like sometimes I just drop it in there And then you could use the, use a tool that you have to get it a little bit closer. So that's one of them, kind of close. And then let's get the other one kind of close here too. Okay, and then I'm gonna slowly start turning up on this thing. Sometimes it helps get them into a better position. There you go, it's catching incorrectly there, so I think it'll work. What's up, Al?
Yo, Al, do you ever charge your phone, bro?
No, I fell asleep without charging it. Why?
It's totally.
I imagine you called me. What's up?
We're gonna. You're recording, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you stopped. He's in here talking to you. Let's go.
Sorry.
You're chilling.
Do you want
There you go. And they're just about in place. And you could pull around through it. You can see the keepers are back where they should be, and then that's that one valve done. All right, I'm gonna keep going away at this here. Hopefully finish all of them. And I got to get another set of keepers because I lost one half of the keeper. This guy over there. And I'll get that going too. And then I'll come back to you guys when I'm basically done and ready to put it back together. Hello again here. So it's been a couple of days, just had to wait for a couple of parts to come in, but I finally started going the other way now and I'm putting everything back together. Got most of the cam caps, not fully tightened, but they're all snugged up. I've got my 2 drill bits in the back of the cams there. You can see 1 drill bit there and there. Make sure those cams are in the right position. And then if you could just barely make it out, probably not on camera here, but I got the 2 lines for both of the cams lined up, as well as the crank down here has a white mark on the top of it that lines up with the chain cover on the front. Make sure everything's in top dead center. I also used, the dipstick here to check that the piston is indeed at top dead center. As mentioned before, I also got these guys replaced, so you can see the big wear mark on it. So I have a brand new set of those in there, brand new set of valve stem seals, and 1 brand new valve keeper in there because I ended up losing the other one. So final step, or next step here, I guess, is putting this guy back in, spinning the motor maybe a few times just to make sure it's in the proper time. And then from there we could button basically the rest of the motor back up. So stay tuned for that. We should be back shortly here. All right, folks, finished getting the car back together, valve cover on, the motor's retimed to as good as it looks. And then all the other wiring harness, the rest of it's plugged in. Almost forgot this guy here to cause the pump not to prime. So then we're gonna go ahead and give it the first start up here, and hopefully nothing bad sounds come from this. Guess we'll see. That's the pump. Oh, man. Hell yeah. Ain't smoking either.
Nah, oh yeah?
At least, right? That's sweet. It's not skipping a beat either. Sounds pretty good to me. Oh, fuck me. Sick. She's ready. Hell yeah.
Let's go, dude.
Bro, it wasn't smoking like a pig, so those valve stem seals ain't fucked.
Oh, that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. There you go. Exciting. You gotta at least break it on the road and let it heat up all the way.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not puking oil out of anything either here. Nice. job. That's a big job.
Not a fun job.